It's awesome. Then I have.
I'd like to call to order the city council meeting for October 28th, 2024. We started for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Correll,
Here.
Councilmember Buckingham,
Here.
Councilmember Garcia,
Present.
Mayor Greenberg,
Here.
Councilmember Homa,
Here.
Councilmember Maddox,
Here.
Councilmember Page.
Here.
Mayor Upthorne is present.
Thank you. Next item is the approval of the council agenda. Motion to approve the agenda. Second. We have a motion and a second. All those, any discussion, changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is approved. Item number 6 is approval of the October 8th, 2024 city council meeting minutes. So moved. Second. We have a motion, a second, any discussion, changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes have been approved. Item number 7 is the first of 2 public forums. Is there anyone out there that would like to speak? Okay. We'll have another opportunity. So, item number 8 are announcements.
Have several announcements. 24th, we have our pumpkin blow down in our business district. The county started satellite voting today. It's early voting. You don't have to have any kind of special reason for an absentee ballot. You can just go and do it. We are not supporting it in a Maplewood building. The nearest location for us is the Mid-County Branch Library. You can see more information on the St. Louis County Election Board website. Maplewood Richmond Heights Thespian Troupe is presenting Clue this Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7 p.m. in the high school theater. Tickets available online or at the door. Maplewood Richmond Heights Trunk or Treat is happening Saturday from 11:30 to 1:30 in the ECC parking lot with participation from the fire department. And the annual MRH district-wide open house, including tours of all property, completed construction, and the new central office building on Big Bend will be Saturday, November 9th from 10 to noon. The Kiwanis Pancake Breakfast will be held in the new high school cafe that morning, with proceeds benefiting MRH programs and Kiwanis outreach.
I'll be making the chocolate chip pancakes.
Nice.
We also have blueberry cake pancakes, just for the record.
Fancy.
Do you have any meat pancakes?
Yeah, but there will be veggie sausages too for vegetarians like myself. Are there any other announcements? Number 9 is the Maplewood Community Fund Report by Colleen Cunningham, President of the Directors.
Hi, thank you all for having me and for all of your service to the community. For those of you who I haven't met, I'm Colleen Cunningham. I have the honor of serving as the chair of the board of the Maplewood Community Fund. My family and I have lived in Maplewood since 2015. I'm currently a proud Ward 1 resident. And perhaps most importantly, I've got 2 kiddos at the ECC. So I'm really grateful and proud of our community. So thanks for all you do. So a little bit about the Maplewood Community Fund. Let me start by reading our mission. So the mission of the Maplewood Community Fund is to raise and disseminate funds to enhance the health, well-being, and quality of life in Maplewood, Missouri. Through collaboration, we strive to create a supportive and thriving community for all. We do this in service to our vision, which is to create a vibrant and inclusive Maplewood where all community members, regardless of their circumstances, have access to essential resources and opportunities. We envision a community where every person can live in dignity, safety, and health, supported by strong networks of care and solidarity. By addressing basic human needs and fostering a spirit of collaboration, we aim to build a future where Maplewood is a model of resilience, compassion, and support. So a little bit of how did we get here? So the Maplewood Community Fund was incorporated in December of 2022. We first met as a board in July of 2023. So we've been functional for about 15 months. And for those of you who've been following us very carefully, You might have heard of us as the Maplewood Community Growth Fund. We're doing business as the Maplewood Community Fund. We felt like that better incorporated the spirit of what we're trying to do and is much less of a mouthful. So that's how long we've been here. A little bit more of that history. Mayor Knapper championed the creation of the Human Services Commission in 2022, and then shortly thereafter, the HSC decided that having a fund that could raise funds for some of their visions and for some improvement in the community would be beneficial. So, as the mission says pretty broadly, the goal is to raise money to keep people in Maplewood and keep them well. Our board of directors includes Maria Langston as our vice chair, Matt Wilcox as our treasurer, Pat Norton as our secretary, and Dr. Mike Dietrich and Dessa Chaparro. In the past, we had 2 other members who over our 15-month period have stepped off. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing in the last 15 months. Those of you who see the slides, the first slide is organizational development. We are a brand new creation, so the vast majority of what we've been doing has been building our house and trying to get it in order. So we went through the process of filing for and eventually received our 501c3 status. We are a federally recognized nonprofit entity. We received that 501c3 status just this past August. So it was a lot of hurry up and wait for about 6 months until we received that status. We developed the mission and vision that I read for you. We've adopted policies, updated our bylaws, recruited some new board members. Very happy to have Dr. Dietrich as our newest board member. We try to liaise with the Human Services Commission and the Planning and Zoning Commission, stay informed about what's going on in our community. We've met monthly via Zoom and quarterly in person, and we have a phone number and a PO box. So what are some of the organizational things we're planning to do? We want to continue to develop our board of directors, continue to diversify our board, and continue to have the folks who can best serve our mission. We're going to continue to meet and perhaps add an ex officio member as a city staff person to be present to the board to continue the collaboration between the city and the fund. So the next thing we've done is publicity, and the reality is we haven't done very much yet because we didn't want to start talking about us until we were legally able to accept tax deductible donations. So a lot of it's been organizational development so far. But we've had some conversations with local leaders to try to find out what the needs were and to let those local leaders know that this fund is starting to exist and will soon be more active. And we're working with an MRH student on a logo development. So in the future, we plan to raise much more awareness about the fund, both so people know we exist and we can become donors to the fund, but then also so people who are in need of funds can solicit funds from us. We're gonna finalize that logo, start off with a Facebook page, have some overview documents about what we're doing and why, and hope to host an open house this spring. Much of this is in service of fundraising. So far we have not raised any funds, but we've started by talking to local community leaders. We've surveyed over 20 leaders and service providers to ask them what the needs are that they see in the community. And we've chosen our fundraising model, which is essentially that we would like to raise funds and distribute them to other organizations or entities already providing services. So the plan is not currently that an individual will come to the fund and we will give grants to them. That's not what we're first going to prioritize, although it's a possibility in the future. And then in the future, we will start soliciting major donors and corporations, establishing a individual donor, recurring donor program, and look for grant opportunities we might be able to for. And then the way that we will disseminate funds is through granting. So we're going to, again, prioritize funding organizations, not individuals. We have decided some of our grant making priorities for how we will choose where we give funds. And we're in the process of developing our grant applications and an evaluation process so we can know what our impact is in the community. We hope that we will have our first funding grant making cycle in the spring of 2025 and then have a yearly funding cycle. So that's a little bit about who we are and what we've been up to, and we're very happy to take your questions.
Yes, can you talk to me about if you're talking about like what your goals are in terms of coming out of the gate fundraising wise, where we shoot for here?
Yeah, we've gone back and forth a little bit about if we want to name a number. And we have not decided yet if we're gonna name a number. We need to do a little more research about what we think is available. We've talked to some development professionals who think it's helpful to name a number, so
I'm one of them.
we probably will, yeah. Yeah,
That's great. I
Well, we want it to be-
realize you're not there yet.
yeah, we want it to be an attainable number, yeah. There's an aspirational number, right? So,
Yeah, well, you need something to celebrate when you hit it,
Exactly,
right?
right.
Show what you do.
for sure. Glad to know you're a development person.
So with regards to the organizations that you're going to support. Are those Maplewood-based organizations, or are there stipulations for other organizations that benefits for the Maplewood community?
Yeah, great question. So we have not. So right now, our mission says we want to support everyone who resides in Maplewood, so we would be open to considering entities not based in Maplewood who are serving Maplewood residents, but we would obviously prioritize. Our priority will be to serve people of Maplewood, so if you have an entity that's based in St. Charles that has a program that's serving folks in Maplewood, that would be far more competitive than if they were serving the general region. Does that make sense? So there aren't clear stipulations, and that'll be part of our grant making process, is making it clear to folks so no one wastes their time asking for funds we won't give.
So an organization like Home Sweet Home, which is Maplewood based, they serve, a fairly large community. So you would enter into an agreement with them whereby you would, the funds that are donated to them would be earmarked for Maplewood.
Most likely, yeah. So an entity just having an address in Maplewood is not what's of interest to us. It's that the funds we will give will be serving Maplewood residents and our unhoused population who are in Maplewood.
Thank you for your leadership and service here. You said you haven't collected any donations yet. Are you guys equipped to receive donations? If someone wants to donate tomorrow, could they, or is that still?
We are, Assistant Chief Wilcox and I are opening up a bank account in a couple of weeks, so we will knock on your door then, but so yeah. We have a PO box, but we want a bank account, which will happen soon.
Have you already contacted, it says that you talked to 20+ community leaders. What kind of feedback have you got?
Yeah, so we sort of blasted everyone with the team who was nearby, and over 20 folks have, over 20 entities have responded, expressing a lot of need. I think some of the things that we saw were, basic needs like food insecurity, consistence with utilities, and other things. I can definitely. We are going to be meeting together in person mid-November and just analyzing that data. So once that's cleaned up, I would be happy to share that with the council.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Very good.
Item number 9 is the fiscal year 2024-2025 first quarter variance report by Alexis Miller, Finance Director.
Good evening, thank you all. For letting me present this report tonight. I know it was a lot of information. So I want to make sure I gave you information and then you all could say that too much information. And I won't be offended at all, I promise. But so I wanted to try to explain kind of how it's set up. So it's basically set up by revenue and then expenditures, and it's just by account, it's detail by account. So when you're looking at this report, because it's the first quarter, generally, we should have either collected 25% of our revenue, or we should have expended 25% of our expense. But there are some things that are cyclical. So like the first couple items under general fund revenue were like real property tax, personal property tax, and those are all like very minimal amounts, but that's because obviously the tax bills haven't gone out yet. So we're not gonna get any of that money until after the tax bills go out, we'll start receiving it in January, and February. And then we get another little chunk like in April or May, kind of depends on when they get done with their appeals. So
The quarters that you're talking about are based on the fiscal year.
yes, these are all going to be fiscally reported. They're not gonna be calendar year.
And then do you do anything, I'm sure if you have, I've seen it, and I just not remember, do you do like a budget spread so that you know that third quarter, we get all that revenue, and therefore, it's like, you said 25%, but 9 times out of 10, that's not be true, because I would assume like most of the retail, or a large chunk of the retail comes in this fourth quarter, or whatever that would
It's
be.
stuff like, lawn cutting isn't until.
Right, so I mean, do we do that yet, or is that somewhere when we get better finance software?
We can do that with we cannot do that with the software we have, but we can do that with the new budget software. But for the most part, I could look at it and tell you just from having done this, so I can look at it and tell you that, well, the reason why that's down is because, there's not gonna be snow plowing yet this fiscal year. So therefore, there will be no expense for snow plowing, there'll be expense for, different things, like the pool expense, you have about half the water expense for the pool this year. That seems about right, because half the year for the pool was open, but you're gonna have that same expense again in the spring. So you're not gonna see anything for the next 2 quarters, and then at the last quarter, you're gonna see the big expense. So, but the new budget software will break it down more in those kind of cyclical things. But it still won't be on this very because that's just the budget, it's not really the minutes. It'll just have budget numbers, it'll be updated with expenditures, but it's really it's not a finance software, it's budget software.
Right, sure. I think it's almost we have you to walk us through it on a couple.
Know about that, anyway. Some of the other things I did want to point out, just so that everybody's aware, I highlighted a couple of things. One of the things I highlighted was the vending machine licenses, because that had been included with business licenses, so we're gonna have to make a transfer to get that taken care of. And that's part of what this quarterly reporting does, is it lets us see where something was either put in the wrong account or misappropriated, either because it was received in the wrong account or it was expensed to the wrong account, and then we can make those changes. So there'll be a couple of those if you go through and look at it. Where you can just see that it seems really high or it seems really low, that's why for the most part. The other thing I wanted to make sure you all were aware of, and I believe it was in the memo, was about the sewer lateral expense, because when you look at capital, we have sewer lateral expense in capital, but we have no budget. And that's just because we haven't gotten the sewer level taxes in yet, because they won't come in until the property taxes come in. So we're borrowing from capital right now, but we are still calculating it to ensure that we do not exceed what we put in sewer lateral expense for the year. Is there anything that you guys would like or not like, or would like removed or added or changed?
I think that the explanation of, especially with regards to capital improvements, was very helpful. And the visual aids were appreciated. So we know we're both paying for it.
Yeah, variance reports the quarter or weekly. And it takes a quarter or two really to start.
Feedback. So, yeah, right now, it's just kind of what it is. Oh, also, there might be some variance also here, because we're working with unaudited numbers. So the auditors are actually here now, and so they accrue expenses to the prior year. I've gone through and tried to get everything that I can see that was in there that was prior year. Sometimes the auditors will decide something is de minimis and not actually accrued as a prior year expense. So, but I may have already accrued it, so there might be a little bit of variance there. But for the most part, these are trying to be as accurate as possible by taking out those accrued expenses and accrued revenue.
Can't be audit time because that room is clean.
Yeah, very.
Usually a battle zone.
No, this.
He cleans up really quick.
Yeah, he is. Our auditor is pretty good. He's pretty quick. He gets moved around a lot, so he knows to keep it all compact and ready to move.
Good, you gotta keep those auditors on their toes.
That's right. He doesn't want to be shoved in that closet over there, because that happens.
Yeah.
No, thank you for that report, and also the huge budget report. Pretty amazing.
Okay, if you all think of anything that you'd like changed or different for the next quarter, just let me know, or actually the manager know, and she can let me know, and I can incorporate those changes, so that way it makes more sense to you all and is legible to you and is easily read by you all as possible. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 11 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to execute a fourth amendment to the redevelopment agreement with Sun Station Redevelopment Corporation, Sunco LLC, and Indigo Properties STL LLC.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Did you want to add anything?
I don't think so. It's pretty clear from the memo.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Questions? A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Correll,
Yes.
Councilmember Fockingham.
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia. Yes. Mayor Greenberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Homa,
Yes.
Councilmember Maddox. Yes. Councilmember Page.
Yes.
Resolution 2459 is approved.
Item number 12 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to execute a license agreement with the Post Sports Bar and Grill and Maple King Properties LLC for a cantilever balcony and rear entrance exit stairwell.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Second. You have a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? I was at the design review board meeting and it's a very good presentation, and hopefully it will be a very welcome addition to the Marietta line.
Yeah.
Roll call, vote, please.
Councilmember Fockingham.
Yeah.
Councilmember Garcia. Yes. Mayor Greenberg,
Yes.
Councilmember Homa,
Yes.
Councilmember Maddox. Yes. Councilmember Page.
Yes.
Councilmember Correll.
Yes.
Resolution 2460 is approved.
Item number 13 is old business. Is there any old business? Item number 14 is council communication. Council communications. Item number 15 is the mayor's report. I'm signed up for National League of Cities and also the Missouri, Kansas, MML meeting there. And if anyone has any recommendations, I've signed up on the wait list for several different mobile workshops, but if you have any additional comments, I'll see if I can incorporate those. Number 16 is the city attorney's report. Number 17 is the city manager's report.
Mayor and council, just a few items I wanted to bring to your attention and discuss. The first is public comment considerations after the AV overhaul is made to this room. We are currently paying just under $3,000 a year for our Zoom subscription. We already have Teams as part of our Microsoft 365 licensing. We're making the recommendation that we move to Teams for our meeting management. We know the functionality and controls are a little more intuitive than Zoom, but we'd like to save the money. With that set up to do a live stream webinar on Teams, there is an option that does not require a user to register or share their email address, which is the route that we would prefer to make that as accessible as possible. However, that prevents any unmuting and speaking for public comment during that live stream. So if we were to go that route, we would no longer have public comment available via the live stream. We remember that this was an addition that was made during COVID, stuck with it. We've had sort of very participation through that route. Our recommendation is, should we go that route and do away with the Zoom public comment, that we invite public comment via email to come within, say 24 hours of the meeting, so that that email communication can be available to you prior to the meeting, included in the meeting packet and be part of the minutes, so it would function as somebody coming into the podium capacity. And then obviously also continue with our regular public comment. With that adjustment, we were also recommending a sign-in system for public comment to allow us to better capture information about who is speaking to us. how the name is spelled, and if they wish to get follow-up communication, either from the council or from staff, to leave an email address for our phone. It does have a check. We could, we wouldn't be able to limit the number of characters that we're putting in.
I think it was generous to say that that varies, I mean, it's just the quality, it's just not better prejudice, I don't think this is certainly an issue.
I'm a little concerned though that either option presents an accessibility concern for me, because if we go the route that you don't have to put in like an email or register, because some people might not be willing, interested, able, etc., or have one, then we can't have public comment. But if we have people who, for whatever reason, can't physically get here and do want to talk, then they have no way to do that in this situation. So I don't know where that falls out with accessibility concerns and best practices, you know?
We could deploy the Q&A, the chat function in the live stream, as a preference.
Yeah,
We assessed other cities and how they're approaching that. We found one other city that is still doing the live stream audio commenting. Everybody else is reverting back to their prior system, which does include in most cases submitting public comment via email, which is a fairly typical approach.
yeah, I mean, my comment to that would be is that if you have the technology to get on Teams, you probably have, yeah. But it does have a Q&A and chat function as well, so. You know, sometimes I say this. It's some pretty nasty stuff from on the chat itself. It's gonna require some to monitor it really well. No, yeah, team is gonna save us money. I don't like teams at all, but it's gonna save us money.
I like this, new potential policy, the 24 hours in advance of the meeting. I know that this is so that staff can receive this and have the documentation ready. Sometimes there's a lot that changes. And so to have things in 7 p.m. for a meeting, 7 p.m. the next night, there may be changes that happen. So I think maybe we should consider a little bit less time there, maybe 12 hours, but I think I like the policy otherwise.
You can certainly do 12 hours.
Being that this is just a policy, we can adapt and change it.
Yes.
As,
Yeah.
as we find out more about how it facilitates our needs.
Yes, we can adapt to the technology as we're getting feedback in that time.
Questions or comments for city manager?
Yeah, and I'll just another quick comment about the teams and all that. We originally had gone to Zoom. That we pandemic. And so needed the ability, if you can't come in person, we need the ability to now be able to record or have live, which is what we're talking. We currently don't have that, so it seems to me that more the goal of doing this is really just to reach more people. They can't physically think about you, so they can watch it. Because certainly they can go to our website and put in comments, which they have done in the past. Anyway, so, you know, I think the way they're approaching this is good. Now, if we have another pandemic, we might want to go back to Zoom.
Let's hope we don't have to.
Yeah, no, agreed.
No more pandemics in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Okay, so agreed that we'll move forward with this recommendation and we'll assess after a couple of meetings and see how the response. 3 other items I wanted to bring up. Obviously, we've had an update on the OCMI tax. MSD's board decided that they wanted to move ahead with 1/4% of the original tax. So that will drop down starting next December for our residents, but they decided not to eliminate it altogether. So we will continue to be a recipient of those potential grant funds should we have projects. We were apparently in the minority of cities who disagree with impacts, at least within the European watershed. 2 things I want to make you aware of for our next meeting. We have several business licenses that have expired as of 23-24. that have not been renewed. These businesses have received multiple notifications from the city, certified letter, in-person delivery, phone calls, emails. We're at a point where we need to take some more decisive action. So we will be putting some revocation hearings on the agenda for the November 12th meeting. Those are for businesses that have not paid their licenses now in 2 years. We do have some businesses that have not paid it for 1 year. We are continuing to work with them, but they will be on the agenda for the December 10th meeting if those aren't resolved prior to that time. So I certainly don't want you to be caught off guard with that. Some of these are notable businesses in our community. We are continuing to work with them, but should you get outreach once that council packet is published, please be aware. And the council packet will include information about the dates and methods of outreach. You do understand that some of this is a product of having an uneven business licensing approach over some staff transitions. That being said, we've been in a very consistent place for the last 6 months. Folks are just not meeting their obligations to the city, so be responsive.
Are there any penalties involved?
If their business license is revoked, they can't do business.
But as far as, if they're in arrears for a year or 2 years, do we add?
We haven't levied any late fines or fees. I mean, and typically this is either because they have tax due to the state that hasn't been resolved, and so they're not able to prove to us that they have no tax due. Which is a requirement of the business license.
We have to run that for the meeting.
Yes, it would be as, it's in the hearing rather than as, there will be, the business owner. Worry, but the code says what it says on one of the requirements. If they're not, it's, if they don't have a business license, it's. Later, but there's sort of this, are you revoking the business license if they don't have a business license? What is our approach? This, I think, is step one, saying, what are you doing? And we're gonna shut it down, right?
Right, so we have run out be different. I was just gonna say, just kind of let the council know how that part of the meeting goes, because I don't think, except for Barry, anybody's been in the revocation hearing before. Barry, not that.
We didn't give some feedback for the meeting.
And you'll recall that it was either last year or the year before, that this was moving forward on the agenda, and all of the businesses that were on the agenda for the revocation hearing managed to settle their affairs with the city before.
Once we set the hearing, we basically all. Yeah, but they have to.
Be prepared for that. The other item I wanted to signal for the next meeting is that we have now 4 vacancies on our boards and commissions through transitions, either people moving out of the community or dropping off because they don't have time to commit. So I'd like to bring some applications forward at our work session on November 12th for you all to make some vacancy appointments on December 10th. We have 1 commission that has 3 vacancies. We're going to address that soon.
And these would be filled, the recommendations would be for former applicants for these.
Yes, we'll reach back to all the former applicants and confirm their willingness to be considered for these positions.
Hey, they said once, that's all it is.
And as well as any new applicants that come between now and November 12th.
Are we gonna advertise for?
We did some proactive outreach to the Elder Task Force to let them know that, in particular, we have some vacancies on the Human Services Commission. And we felt like their representation on that commission would be beneficial, since about 50% of the work that Human Services is doing is focused on aging in place. So that's the only promotion we've done, but we can certainly put it back on the city's website and on Facebook to promote that.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, I give them a reminder.
Item number 18 is second to public forums. And
Hi, it's me again. So I actually come here kind of in more unfortunate circumstances. 2 weeks ago, and I'm sure you all are aware, there was a fire in Shrewsbury that the Maplewood Fire Department responded to.
So just to give a little bit of background, I am the president of the Webster University Student Government Association. 18 of our students were in that fire, and were displaced. But I personally just want to thank the Maplewood Fire Department, and I'm also thanking the Shrewsbury Fire Department as well. And I'll be in contact with the fireman Pete, as I like to call him. But if it wasn't for their kind of heroism that day, many of our students probably would have been injured or worse. So on behalf of the Webster Student Government and on behalf of Webster University, I just want to thank them. We have been able to give them a lot of resources. They have temporary housing options now, and we raised thousands of clothing items for them over the past week and raised $15,000 for them as well. But just want to thank the Maplewood Fire Department and also be contacting Fireman Pete, Chief Marsack separately. So, yeah.
Thank you. There's no need for a closed session. So I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's go Blues.